So this is going to be a one-on-one interview with Baker Mayfield. We're going to jump ahead a little bit here. He's walking in, showing him some photo shoots. I think this is where the question starts.
Early round quarterback. Short with drop-down release. Benefited from spread scheme, needs to improve full field scanning. Can be thrown off rhythm by delayed blitz packages. Deep balls can hang on him. Has to eliminate back foot throws. Desire to make plays will lead to unnecessary sacks. Has to prove he can rein in and control on-field edge and cockiness. Who are they talking about?
That's me right there.
They bring pressure. Mayfield gets it away and gets it complete to Andrews. He's going to launch it downfield. Sooners score it.
Some of that stuff is just, I mean, it's unbelievable because you look at what he's saying is he talks about sacks, he talks about full field scanning. You don't read the whole field while the play is going on. If you're trying to do that, you're going to get sacked. You can't have that much time. When you got NFL pass rushers up there, you got to be able to eliminate pre-snap based on coverage and alignments, which side you're going to go to, what you're keying. So stuff like that, they never played. They don't know how to do it, and they can write their story, and I'll be happy to go prove them wrong.
We have 4 jerseys. They're all somebody else and all somebody else's number. And so we just need you moving around and get some kind of...
There's a chance that, you go to a team like, I don't know, Cleveland or Denver, where they've got a Tyrod Taylor or a Case Keenum, and even though you might beat that guy out in camp and they're calling it an open competition in the media, it's not that. I'm thinking that some of these teams are wondering how you're going to handle that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and the one thing I can say is I've had experience with it. I transferred to Oklahoma, and they had a freshman QB that had just won Sugar Bowl, was the Sugar Bowl MVP, and they asked me how I'm going to handle sitting behind a guy like Tyrod Taylor, or Case Keenum, and Eli Manning, stuff like that. And so I answered the same way. I said, the most beneficial year throughout my career was the year I had to sit out. Going to Oklahoma, having to work for a spot on the team, having to be taught patience, having to learn another offense, be on another coaching staff, and then go through a season where I couldn't be on the field at all, no matter what anybody on the outside was saying, no matter what else was going on, I wasn't allowed to play. So for me, I'd handle it the same way.
Ready? Go.
I think that was a great answer right there. Remember, that was prior to how things are now. When you were transferred to another school, you had to sit out a year. So that's what he was speaking on there. But you could hear the confidence in when Baker is speaking, and I think that's really good. I don't have a problem when a quarterback is confident. I know some people take issue with that. Let's get to the next question. But I like a confident quarterback. Just look at what happened to Bryce Young. Bryce Young's confidence was kind of snatched away from him when they pulled him off the field and put Andy Dalton back in, and then they had to build his confidence back up. So I think confidence, when quarterback's confidence is shaky and they don't have that, ultra confidence, I think it can you could send the quarterback down a rough road or down a wrong path just by kind of breaking that confidence. So I like a confident quarterback.
In the history of college football, in the history of the draft, there's Drew Brees is one. Ryan Leaf compared you to himself. Scott McLuhan said you were like Brett Favre. Somebody said Chase Daniel. Let's see, Rich Gannon, Jeff Garcia.
I haven't heard the Rich Gannon one.
Yeah, that was on Twitter. Russell Wilson. That's a pretty good one.
Not bad.
Yeah. There's one that you don't like. Your family doesn't like. I know you've been asked about it a million times.
So this is going to be Johnny Manziel. As you remember, the Browns drafted Johnny Manziel. And I think it was more so based on their stature and some of their off-the-field things. There was a lot of comparisons between Baker and Johnny Manziel. Once we realized that Johnny Manziel didn't even look at the playbook, I think those comparisons need to go away, at least on the field. Off the field, he's going to speak on that.
I won't ask you about the comparison, but have you ever actually had a conversation with Johnny?
The thing is for me is there's a perception about Johnny right now, and he's gone through some stuff, and I can relate to it on my off-the-field stuff in 2017. There's people love to write a story, and it's the next biggest thing. And so when you have a guy like Johnny that's had a lot of success, that he's had things that he's been very blessed with, people will take the first chance to jump on him and try and bring him down a little bit. And so, no, I don't like the comparison because it's compared in the negative ways. Now, if you looked at it in the positive ways, Johnny's an incredible athlete. You can never take away what he did in college, how he absolutely took the college football scene by storm. Guy's an incredible playmaker, and so all I can do is be myself, and those comparisons will end. I mean, I'm going to go out and do my thing, and I got arrested. Yeah, I did some dumb stuff on the field in 2017, but for me, what I've realized is time moves forward, and I'll be able to just show who I am as a person, and when I have these conversations with coaches, that's all that matters.
I think he gave some good answers there. I think one thing Browns fans are stuck on when it comes to Baker Mayfield is, how his time ended in Cleveland. One thing I will say, I do like his confidence. He definitely has some growing up to do. And he even speaks on how he has some growing up to do to get to the point where he is today with the success he's having. with Tampa Bay. So, I think people just kind of forget the middle part of the Baker Mayfield situation. And, he was saying basically, if you get another quarterback, I want out, trade request. People kind of forget those things, not returning Kevin Stefanski's phone calls, all that stuff. So he even said he had some growing up to do. So that's where you got to believe the actual person, not the reports. He said, I needed to grow up. He bumped his head. He got traded to Carolina. Things didn't go the way he planned. Got asked for a release. Got released in Carolina. Played the game for the Rams, and then made his way back to Tampa. And then did well enough to get that to get re-signed. So it took time. It wasn't just a smooth transition. People want to make it out like Baker left Cleveland and went right to Tampa and forget the story in the middle. So that's one thing you got to remember. You got to remember the full story. So shout out to Baker and his success, but this just shows you that Baker was definitely confident. So Cleveland fans have enjoyed and appreciated confident quarterback, and so that's one of the things that comes up a lot with Shador. But I'm just like, I don't understand, because y'all still had this love affair with Baker when y'all are still saying it was a mistake with Baker leaving and all this stuff. So it's like, did y'all forget that Baker is cocky too? I mean, not cocky, my bad, wrong word. Did y'all forget that Baker is confident also? So it just, I think it's just short-sighted from people, but people just forget things. And then also, real quickly, Baker said that he had some off-the-field stuff that was reported. Shador has no off-the-field things. People who don't watch Shador, they might not know this, but Shador doesn't drink, so as I get older, I realize the importance of young people coming into money who also, consume alcohol could lead to turmoil and just some rough patches. So just not even being a person who consumes alcohol or does drugs or any of those things, or likes to hang out in clubs. For me, as I look through things through the lens of how old I am now, those are things that I definitely appreciate. So, I think that's a difference where, Shador doesn't have these off-field things, but for some reason, people just have this disdain for Shador that I kind of don't understand, because the quarterback that they always go back to, especially in Cleveland, is they always go back to, us. They always go back to Baker, and I'm like, Baker's a cocky quarterback. So confident. My bad. I keep messing that up. I'm not trying to call him cocky. He's a confident quarterback, and I like a confident quarterback.